Hi all, this is a quick tutorial on how to do a little pop-up menu, and I'm going to do a pop-up menu to do creating a login. So here I have a mock-up of a page. One of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that you have everything done on this main page before you do what I'm about to do. I need to create a button for login/sign up. So here I am in my favorite place to find images, Google. I have typed in buttons, selected images. Under tools, I make sure I used labeled for reuse, so these will be copyright free resources. And I see a little button here that I really like. It's from Pixabay. The problem is this is 3 buttons and I really only want this, this bottom blue one. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this image and now quickly go over to Photoshop. Here I am in Photoshop. I'll create a new object. I'll base it on what's on the clipboard. So I'll click Create and Paste. And there are my 3 buttons. Now I'm going to copy this button. So just use my selection arrow. Go to Copy. Go to Copy. Create a new document, again based on my clipboard, and paste. So here I have my new button, and it's got a little bit more white space around it than I'd like. I can turn off the background and see these little extra dots up here. So to get this as tight as possible, I'm going to press Command A. Now this is probably Control A on Windows, it's Select All. And then still holding down the Command key, I'm going to press the up arrow, and notice that the little selection shrinks down around the actual object. Then I'll go up to Image and Crop, and that shrinks this down to the smallest that it's going to be. Go back up to Edit and copy that, and go back to XD. So here I am in XD. I'll paste this button. It's way too big, so holding down the Shift key, I'm going to shrink it down a little bit, and I'll put it up here. Now I'll create the text that's going to go in. So login/sign up. Black probably isn't going to be a good color for that, so I'm going to select that. Go to Fill, and I think I'll make it red. And bring it up to my button. Now, I'm going to put it below there, and in order to size it, once it's selected, I can use my arrow keys to go pixel by pixel to get it aligned. And there it is. I see the little crosshairs. I also need to go to my button now, so I have to do a little bit of clicking around. There we go. And make the button a little bit bigger. There we are. Now with the button selected, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click Login and Sign Up. Does that look centered? No, I don't think so. Hang on. Move that over a little bit. There we go. That looks a little bit better. So again, I had text selected. I held down the Shift key, selected the button, and I'm going to make this object and go to Group. So this makes this one object. Now when I resize it, it resizes the whole thing. So if I need to make that button a little bit smaller, I can do that. So again, I want to reiterate, before I do the next step in creating the pop-up window, you need to make sure that this screen is fully built out, because what I'm going to do now is make a duplicate of it. I'm going to make sure that I'm in my Layers section, not the Assets or the Plugins. So I have Layers selected, it's blue. I'm going to close up my main window, and I don't know why I have to do this, it's the way that XD works. Then go to Edit and Duplicate. So this makes an exact copy of that screen. I'll now build out the login box. To start with that, I'll create a box. And I need to connect the box with this button. There's this really nice little triangle tool here and a funky little function. So I'm going to make a triangle. And then I'm going to go up to my selection tool. With the triangle selected, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select my rectangle. And now go up to this set of buttons. And one of them is called Add. And when I click on that, it makes it look like the little kind of comment bubble sort of things, but it attaches this box very nicely to my login button. I would now create the various boxes for things like username, and since it keeps the properties that I had before, I'm going to make that actually kind of a little grayish, so it looks like this is something that you would type in. I think the size is good. So just come and click my selection tool, select that, and to make sure that these buttons are the same size, I'm going to click this button, go up to Edit and Duplicate. So I've duplicated it. It's behind the other one, so when I drag that down, notice it's showing some pink lines. This is just making some spacing suggestions. So username, password. Okay, I had a little glitch that I had to fix, so that's why the screen has moved around a little bit. But now what I need to do is to create a login button. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Put in my text login. In fixing my glitch, I also changed the color to black in case you didn't notice the difference between the gray and the black. I'm going to click on login and my box and group it. And then I'll create a button underneath that. And to be honest, it's probably a better idea than creating a new button. You delete that, take this button and duplicate it. Now change the text. And you notice it needs to be a little bit longer or wider. So I'm going to ungroup it and move create account out of here for just a minute and make the box a little bit wider. And I'm going to use the alignment so that it aligns with these boxes up here. That way the box, or the button, excuse me, is the same height as the login button. Need to go back and group those back together. So now I'd create a new artboard. Oh, before I do that, I want to name this login. I create a new artboard. Click over here, make sure it's my iPad Pro. This is going to be my create account. I'm going to go back over to my login page, grab these two elements, copy, come over here and paste them, and then I would put in the boxes to create an account. So name, then I'm going to duplicate that. For email, whatever other boxes you might have, and then a button to submit it. So now I have the three screens that are going to make my pop-up menu, the login box, and the create account. To make this actually work, I'll go to prototype. I'll click on my button and link it to this page. When I do that, I want to look over here and make sure that the type is a transition and that it's a dissolve. There's a number of easing in and out, and I don't even know what they all do. I would just say leave this as ease out. If you want it to go a little bit slower, you can increase this. I wouldn't worry about it too much. So let's go ahead and test this out and click on my login button. And it looks like this just popped up over the first page, but it's actually gone to that second artboard. So now I just have to get myself back. So when I click login, I'll go back here. When I click Create Account, I'll go to this screen. When I do the Submit button here, I'll go back to this screen. Actually, I guess it would make more sense to go back to this screen so that they have to log in. So now when I try this, I'll go back to my main screen, click on Play, or Preview. Goes to that. If I click Create Account, it goes to here. If I click Submit, it goes back here. And now I do Login. Something's not working here, so let me go back and check. Prototype, Login. For some reason I goofed up the login. It happens. Go back to that main screen, Preview, Login. Login goes back to the first page. Now, if you want to get fancy, instead of going back to this page, I'm going to take it, again, close it up, duplicate the main page, I still want to leave that link active, but now I'd come back, go to Design, and perhaps modify this text to personalize it since the user's already logged in. Again, to keep things straight, I'll call this main logged in. So now I have to go back to my prototype and change my login link to go to this page. I'll go here, Preview, Login. When I do login, it says I'm logged in. Now you can drive yourself crazy here. So for example, if I do this login button and I click on the username button, a keyboard should show up, so I type in the username and the password. If you want to just mimic this instead, that's okay with me. Go to this page, go back to Design. Let's make this a little bit, and mimic a username and a password. And again, I'd probably change those to black, so it looks like something that I've actually typed in. So you could fool around with putting the keyboard in if you want. If you don't want to go through that much trouble, you don't have to. Okay? So that's it for creating a pop-up login.